Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be another tech video. I'm going to be sharing with you the top 5 or 6 things that I've learned since starting in the tech industry. If you're new to this channel, if you don't already know me, I have been working in the industry for a year and a half now. I just got my first job out of college. It was a struggle in the beginning. It was a struggle, I must say, but I am definitely enjoying it. So I just want to share with you some big tips that I've learned, all the important stuff that no one really talks about. So keep watching. Number 1, to not be afraid to ask questions. So when I first started my job, even now, to be quite honest with you, I'm the kind of person that wants to just be the person to figure out the problem, and I will sit there for hours until I figure out the answer to what I'm looking for. And something that I had been sitting there struggling with for hours could have been solved in a 15-minute meeting with someone on my team. You need to know the importance of time. Always think oh, I don't want to bother someone, everyone has their own work to do. But when you're working at a company, we're all working toward the same goal. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. So this is a huge one. So I learned that you are responsible for your own career path. I learned, not really the hard way, but I learned kind of late how to speak up and talk to my manager about where I want to be as far as the timeline of when I want to get promoted. So when I first started at my job, I noticed that my friends started these conversations with their managers early, 3 months into working, when I feel like I was just starting to get my bearings straight and just figure out what's going on with my team. Even though you might be still in that process, I think it's important to speak openly with your manager about the timeline that you want, so he or she or they can help you focus on the right projects to help achieve your goal. Because no one is going to sit there and be like, oh, I think I see all the hard work you're doing and I think I want to promote you right now. It's very rare that your manager does that, especially if they're managing 20 other people on your team. They don't have time to just sit there and just pay attention to all the work that you're doing. The 4th thing that I've learned that kind of goes along with this is compensation. Compensation comes with your base salary, your bonus, and then also your stock grant. And understanding how that compensation works and also understanding how yearly performance bonuses work is so important. It's kind of good to talk about your salary just so you understand where you lie, so that if you feel that you are not being compensated fairly according to the work that you're doing, that you are able to talk to your manager openly about why. So each year, for the position that you're in, you probably have a band, a compensation band, to see how much your base salary is going to be. And I guess based on your experience and the amount of work you're doing, your manager can place you in any part of these bands, right? So if you find out what the salary range is for that year and you find you're on the low end and you feel like that's not right, considering either the amount of work you do, the number of years you've been in that position, what you can do is go to your manager and be like, hey, I feel as though with the work that I'm doing, and then list all the projects that you're on, the work that you're doing, and how it corresponds to your level, and how you're exceeding expectations, that I feel that I should be getting paid this much. What can I do, or how can we work together to make this possible for next year so that I can get a salary increase? I think it's very, very important to be open with your manager about it and open with your friends about how much they're getting paid, because it's kind of awkward to talk about, but last thing you want to do is find out that years later that you're getting paid a lot less than people that are on the same level as you, because that'll just feel even shittier. The next thing that I found out about my first year working in tech is that it is okay to just go to work and do your job well and then go home and not touch the computer when you're at home, or not code on the side, or not have a side hustle. That's perfectly okay. And I'm probably gonna make another video about this, because the whole hustle culture in tech and everyone wanting to be the next Mark Zuckerberg or some shit and have their own little app, it is exhausting to keep up with, and I don't feel like it's always necessary. What are you chasing after? If it's your passion to be a founder of your own company, that's awesome. If your side project is not something you're passionate about and not something that you really want to do, and you just feel like you're pressured into doing it just to keep up appearances that you're doing something with your life, you really need to reevaluate that. because you're gonna get burnt out. Like, it's inevitable. The next tip I have is about interviewing. So interviewing, as we all know, can be extremely stressful. If you're out of the interviewing mindset for a while, getting back into doing like HackerRank problems and, you know, architecture problems and doing design problems, that kind of stuff can kind of slip away from you after a while if you're not actively working on it every day. In my opinion, that if you are able to interview passively while you are working, then I think that's a good time to do so. Like, while you have a job, when the pressure is low. So that's not me saying like, if you have absolutely no intention of leaving your company, waste these interviewers' times. But if you're even passively thinking about new opportunities in the near future, or like when the next couple months to a year, I suggest, like, if a recruiter reaches out to you, it might be useful to take one of those interviews just to get your feet wet. Like, for example, if I were thinking about interviewing now, I know that it might be different than when I was first coming out of college as a new grad. Okay, so the next tip that I have is get a mentor. I think having a mentor both on your team and outside of your team is like crucial. Outside of your team, because you need an outside perspective. They can help you kind of navigate certain tough situations, whether it be talking to a teammate about like how they spoke to you, if you felt like offended by it, whether it be how to approach conversations with your manager. And along with that, acting as a mentor to others is equally as important. Just think about like when you were first getting into the industry, interviewing is super stressful, gives you so much anxiety, it's very difficult. And just like even getting your resume looked at is very hard, right? Because with these top companies, for example, it's so competitive. So trying to giving back and sharing your experience with others is super important, because I'm sure, at least with most people, that's what someone did for you. And there's really no reason to gatekeep, because like it's not gonna hurt you in any way. I don't know why people think that like giving someone some advice is gonna, giving them a leg up is gonna hurt their position in some way. It's very strange. But yeah, definitely acting as a mentor is super important. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna be talking about is one-on-ones. So when I first started working, I had a bunch of one-on-ones. After a while, the one-on-ones kind of got like, okay, like what am I supposed to be talking to you about? Like I was really unsure, especially with my manager, since usually I guess your manager doesn't really have that much context on what you're working on technically, since they have to manage all these people. They can't really be always involved in your day-to-day work. Some advice for that is to come to your one-on-ones with topics prepared to talk about. These topics can be more at a high level, kind of about like company objectives or the direction of the team, stuff like that. Kind of asking the manager about important meetings that they've been in can give you an idea of what's going around with the company, why different decisions are being made that you might not get exposed to in your day-to-day work. I think it's very insightful. Also, it's cool to understand like how your manager got to where they are today in their career path, especially if you want to be a manager. The last tip that I have is to choose projects that might be unfamiliar or daunting to you, because I feel like once you complete them, it will definitely pay off in the end. One, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you took on a task that felt impossible and you actually got to finish it. I think that's like one of the best feelings to me about working in tech, or just like working as a software engineer. Projects may seem so like overwhelming, and it's like, how am I gonna do this? But like figuring it out, it's just so cool, and you just feel proud of yourself. Finally, it's important to choose the right projects that are impactful and align with the company's objectives or your team's objectives, so that you can get visibility around your company, and this will probably help you get promoted. So these are all my tips, and I hope this helped someone. This is some of the stuff that I've just learned over the past year, and I'm still learning in this industry. I'm very new to this. So if you agree with anything, or if you have any tips that you want to share down below, please share. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.